The 25th of May 2021, the day open world action RPG Biomutant released, or as I like to call it, Teenage Mutant Ninja Gerbils. Developed by ex-Avalanche Studio developers, yes, the creators of Just Cause. Experiment 101 decided they wanted to make a video game that goes back to the core fun mechanics of games they enjoyed when they were younger. In that way, they succeeded. It's a fun game, it's a really fun game. Graphically it's beautiful, exciting and colourful. I ran this on PC and it looked incredible, running around horseback, gliding through the air on a hang glider, or just walking around. I absolutely love the atmosphere of this game, and it ran really smoothly. The world felt full of depth, each area felt relatively unique. It was a shame the main quest didn't require much exploration, because there's some great areas, but you only spend 20 minutes there and never see them again. Okay, now for the characters and dialogue. The most hated thing about this game upon release was the Little Big Planet style narration. It was extremely unnecessary and usually said things along the line of, "This character feels happy and wants you to feel happy too." Although, there isn't an option to turn the narrator off, simply click his volume to 0, and you won't have to experience it throughout the game, just enjoy the soundtrack. The characters are unique and look really cool, but there's nothing too memorable about them. They did a great job of setting up your backstory, but they don't attempt to flesh out any of the main characters outside of some dialogue, such as, "I used to work with your dad." Around halfway through the game, I found myself skipping most of the dialogue, as it was repetitive and long-winded. A full conversation takes around 5 minutes to read, and your character doesn't speak at all. My main criticism with the game came with the story. It's basic, it's really basic. Essentially, kill all the bosses and enemy factions to restore peace to the world. I didn't love it, but I also didn't mind it. Why didn't I mind a lackluster story? Well, that was because of the combat. The combat is perhaps the most fun action combat I've ever experienced. It feels fluid, fast and purely cool. I would find myself purposely searching out groups of enemies just so I could fight them. Unfortunately, the boss battles were a little less satisfying. Although being visually pleasing and fairly challenging, they didn't feel as fluid and free-flowing. Usually, I felt like I'd exploited the game when I beat a boss, which was never the case. Oh, we got his heart! We got his heart!
Go down with a throw-up.
Oh, no way!
We
Did it! No way! We took him out! We took him out! Our first world eater! The travel in this game was incredible too. I touched upon it earlier, the horses and hand gliders, they were a lot of fun. But let's not forget the mech suits and the boats. I just wish there was more reason to travel Biomutant, because I would love to feel more compelled to travel the world. Another small gripe with the game was the heads-up display. I wish I could turn off the hood for a fully cinematic experience. The cartoon 1960s Batman style contrasts the amazing photorealistic graphics of the game. If they patch in a version of this game that's hoodless, I'll definitely be playing it. All in all, Biomutants was a fun game, with some decent execution, but it falls just short of being considered a great game. Maybe with some more reasons to explore. For a sequel for Biomutants, I'd love to see a genre shift. I think the elemental aspects, open world nature and great gameplay would make for a great survival RPG. Think of Rust for example. Making those biohazardous areas contain rare loot. You'd have to level up to access them, and making each interaction with other tribes all the more scary. If you die, which I rarely did play in the game, you lose your loot and get dropped in your tribe's stronghold. Ability to add homesteads, develop crafting mechanics, and maybe adding co-op or multiplayer aspects would be perfect for this game. I think this game really lacked replayability, and I think a shift to the survival genre would make picking up a sequel all the more enticing. Dialogue felt really unnatural, story felt hollow, secondary characters were lacking, so naturally discard these elements and find new ways to use the features that did work and incorporate them into a new package. I'm handing the keys over to you 101, you've got this.